You ever notice how they all act like life is some kind of game? Like there's a scoreboard somewhere, tallying up who's got more money, more friends, more power, who's loved, who's hated, who's winning, who's losing. They want you to think it's a game, because as long as you believe that, you're their little pawn. You're running in circles, chasing after rules you didn't make, fighting battles that ain't even yours, and they love it because it keeps you too busy to see the real trick, the part where they hold all the cards, and you've got nothing but the illusion of choice. But here's the thing. Their game only works if you play. If you step off their board, stop following their rules, suddenly they're scrambling, desperate, because they can't control a man who doesn't care about their prizes. They can't manipulate someone who doesn't need their approval. They can't break someone who ain't trying to win. See, they built a whole world around making you think you gotta impress them, gotta prove something. To who? A bunch of people who don't give a damn about you? A society that only respects you when you fit inside their perfect little mold? They'll cheer for you when you're useful, and the second you fall, the second you slip up, they'll stomp you into the ground like you never mattered. That's the game. Keep you running, keep you craving, keep you hungry enough to beg for their validation, but never full enough to stand on your own. And you're waking up, aren't you? You're starting to see it. How they dangle everything just out of reach. How they whisper sweet lies in your ear. Tell you you're almost there. Just work a little harder. Play a little nicer. Follow the rules a little longer. And when you do, they move the goalpost again and again and again. You ever see a dog chasing its own tail, spinning in circles, convinced it's about to catch something? That's you. That's every man stuck in this sick little game. But I'm telling you now, you don't have to play. Let them think you're a loser. Let them call you crazy. Let them laugh when you walk away from the game, when you refuse to beg, when you stop caring about their stupid little scoreboard. Because the moment you stop playing, you become dangerous, unpredictable, free. You ever notice how they fear the ones who don't care? The man who won't kneel? The one who doesn't need them? Oh, they hate that. They can't control what they don't understand. And they'll do everything to pull you back in. They'll mock you. They'll guilt you. They'll tell you you're nothing without their system, without their approval, because they're scared. Not of you failing. No. They're scared of you realizing the truth, that you never needed them in the first place. And once you see that, once you feel that freedom, there's no leash strong enough, no cage big enough to hold you. You become something terrifying, a man with nothing to lose, a man who doesn't flinch when they threaten to take things away, because he knows they were never real to begin with. Let me tell you something about power. Real power isn't in money. It isn't in fame. It isn't in how many people clap when you walk into a room. Real power is knowing you don't need any of it. Real power is laughing in the face of their little games, their little tricks, their empty promises. So tell me, you still want to play? They tell you life is about chasing happiness. A house, a car, a job, a family, a little reputation in the world. Like a checklist. And if you tick all the right boxes, congratulations, you win. You get to die with a smile on your face knowing you did it all right. But let me ask you something. Who wrote that list? Who decided what counts as success? What makes a man valuable? What makes a life worth living? Because it sure as hell wasn't you. No, they gave you that script the day you were born, stuffed it in your hands and told you, follow this and you'll be happy. But what if it's all a lie? What if happiness isn't some trophy at the end of a race? What if it's just another leash around your neck, keeping you running, keeping you blind, keeping you tame? Because that's what they really want, a tame man. A man who never stops to question, who never stops to think, who just follows. Wake up, work, obey, sleep, repeat. They don't need you to be strong. They don't need you to be smart. They need you to be manageable. And do you know what happens when you start asking the wrong questions? When you stop nodding along and start looking behind the curtain? Oh, they hate that. They call you bitter, call you broken, call you crazy. They tell you you're the problem, not the system, not the lies, not the sick little game they built to keep you running in circles. You see, most people are too afraid to step off the path. They'd rather be miserable and accepted than free and alone. And that's what keeps the whole machine running. Fear. Fear of being different. Fear of being hated. Fear of looking in the mirror and realizing they wasted their whole damn life playing by rules that never meant anything. But you're standing on the edge, aren't you? You're starting to see the cracks in the foundation, starting to hear the hollow echo behind their smiles. And you're wondering, what happens if you just walk away? If you stop trying to fit into a world that never wanted you in the first place. If you stop playing, let me tell you what happens. First, they try to drag you back. They'll use guilt. What happened to you? They'll ask. You used to be so normal. Normal. That's their favorite word, isn't it? A chain disguised as a compliment. Then comes anger. They'll mock you, attack you, anything to make you doubt yourself, to make you crawl back, apologizing for daring to step outside the lines. And if that doesn't work, if you stand firm, then comes the last trick, the silence. The way they suddenly stop seeing you like you never existed. Because to them, if you're not playing their game, you don't count. You don't matter. But here's where the fun begins. Because the moment you stop caring about their opinions, their approval, their worthless little labels, you win. You break free. And nothing terrifies them more than a man who doesn't need them, a man who doesn't want their validation, doesn't fear their judgment, doesn't bow to their expectations. A man who walks his own path, no matter how dark, no matter how lonely, no matter how hard. You see, most people are prisoners, and they don't even know it, trapped in their little routines, their little fears, their little desperate need to belong. But belonging comes at a price. You want their love, their acceptance, their respect, then you have to be what they want you to be. And if you ever change, if you ever grow, if you ever become something they don't understand, they'll turn on you in a heartbeat. So let me ask you, is that really love? Is that really respect? Or is it just control, dressed up in pretty words? Because I'll tell you something most people don't want to hear. Real freedom isn't pretty. It's not wrapped up in comfort or safety or warm little lies. Real freedom, it's cold. It's harsh. It's standing alone while the world calls you a failure, a fool, a lost cause. It's knowing that you'll never be their hero, never be their favorite, never be the one they praise, and still choosing to walk forward anyway. You have to ask yourself, what do you want? Do you want to be loved, or do you want to be free? Because you can't have both. Not in this world. Not with these people. Not when they only love you as long as you fit inside their tiny, tiny box. And once you step outside that box, once you rip their script to shreds and start writing your own story, they'll hate you for it. They'll resent you for it. They'll watch you from the sidelines, whispering, waiting, hoping you'll fall, hoping you'll come crawling back, begging to be let in again. Because nothing scares them more than the one who got away. So let them hate, let them talk, let them play their games with each other, running in circles, chasing after things that don't mean a damn thing. And you walk away. You build your own world, your own rules, your own way. Because the moment you stop playing, the moment you stop needing them, you win. Most people don't want the truth. They want comfort. They want the illusion that everything makes sense, that life is fair, that if you just play by the rules, you'll get what you deserve. But life doesn't give a damn about what you deserve. You can work your fingers to the bone, bleed for people, sacrifice everything, and still be left with nothing. Because the game isn't designed for you to win. It's designed to keep you playing, keep you chasing, keep you hoping, keep you tamed. And the worst part? Most people know this. Deep down, they know, but they refuse to accept it. Because accepting it means admitting they wasted their whole damn lives running after ghosts. So they pretend. They pretend their suffering has meaning. They pretend their obedience will be rewarded. They pretend that if they just keep their heads down, keep smiling, keep believing, one day everything will be okay. But it won't, because it never was. and it never will be. Not for them, not for you, not for anyone who still thinks life is some kind of fairy tale with a happy ending waiting at the end of the road. But you're different. You've seen the cracks in the foundation. You've felt the weight of the chains around your neck. You know the world isn't fair, isn't kind, isn't built for men like you to rise. You know the ones in power don't want strong men. They want obedient men. Men who are too afraid to step out of line. Men who live their lives begging for permission instead of taking what's theirs. And if you want to be one of them, if you want to fit in, go ahead. Play their game. Lower your voice. Shrink yourself down. Smile when they spit in your face. Nod along when they lie to you. Convince yourself that it's all worth it, that one day you'll be happy. But deep down, you'll know. Every time you look in the mirror, every time you force yourself to be something you're not, you'll know. You sold your soul for nothing. Because no matter how much you bend, no matter how much you sacrifice, they will never truly accept you. They will never respect you. They will never see you as an equal. They will use you, drain you, discard you the second you stop being useful. That's the nature of the game. But there is a way out, a way to win. And it's so simple, so brutally simple, that most people are too scared to do it. You stop playing. You stop chasing their approval. You stop seeking their validation. You stop giving a damn about what they think of you, what they expect of you, what they want from you. You step off their board and build your own. And at first, they'll laugh. They'll call you insane, call you lost, call you everything but what you actually are, free, because freedom terrifies them. A man who doesn't care what society thinks, a man who doesn't beg for scraps at their table, a man who refuses to play along. That kind of man is dangerous. That kind of man reminds them of their own chains. So they will try to break you. They will test you. They will throw everything they have at you. Mockery, isolation, betrayal, because they want to see if you'll cave, if you'll come crawling back, if you'll prove them right, prove that you need them, that you can't survive without their acceptance. And that is where most men fail. That is where they crumble, because they are not ready to stand alone. But you will stand, you will endure, you will walk through the fire and come out the other side unrecognizable, because once you taste real freedom, their world will disgust you. Their games, their rules, their petty little struggles for power and attention, it will all look so small, so meaningless. You will not want their approval anymore. You will not care about their opinions. You will not crave their acceptance. You will be untouchable. And do you know what happens when a man becomes untouchable? When he no longer fears their judgment, their rejection, their punishments. They fear him They will whisper about you in hushed voices. They will watch you from a distance, hoping, praying that you fail, that you fall, that you break. Because if you don't, if you thrive, then you expose their entire lie. You become the proof that a man doesn't have to obey, that he doesn't have to kneel, that he doesn't have to fit inside their mold to be whole. And that terrifies them more than anything, because it means they could have been free too. It means they wasted their lives chasing ghosts while you walked away and became something greater. So let them hate, let them doubt, let them sit in their little cages, their little illusions, their little meaningless games. Because you are done playing. And the second you walk away, the second you break the chains, the second you become something they could never be, you win. You know what's funny? People love to talk about strength. They act like it's something you earn, something you build, like a muscle, like a skill. But real strength isn't loud. It isn't flashy. It isn't the guy with the biggest paycheck, the most friends, the best reputation. Real strength is walking alone when every instinct in your body is screaming at you to turn back. It's standing in a room full of people and knowing you don't need a single one of them. It's looking at the world and saying, I don't care what you want. I don't care what you expect. I am not yours to control. And that kind of strength, it terrifies them. Because they don't have it. They never did. They spent their whole lives looking for someone to tell them what to do, what to think, what to believe. They're not strong. They're just followers who found a comfortable prison. And when they see you, someone who doesn't beg, someone who doesn't need, someone who doesn't care, it shatters them. Because it reminds them of the truth they've been running from their entire lives, that they were never free. But freedom, real freedom, it comes at a price. Because the second you stop playing their game, the second you stop following their script, they will turn on you. And it won't be quick, and it won't be clean. They will try to make you feel worthless. They will try to make you believe you're broken, lost, a failure. Because if they can make you doubt yourself, if they can make you weak, then they win. Then they get to pretend you were never stronger than them to begin with. So they'll push, they'll pull. They'll use everything they have against you. Family, friends, guilt, shame. They'll tell you you're wrong, that you're wasting your life, that you'll regret walking away. But do you know what they're really saying? What they actually mean? Please, don't prove me wrong. Please. Don't show me that I could have been free too. Please, don't make me look in the mirror and realize I was a coward. Because that's what it always comes down to. Fear. They fear your strength. They fear your choices. They fear the fact that you don't need them. Because deep down, they know if they had been stronger, if they had been braver, they could have done the same thing. But they didn't. So they will do everything to pull you back. Not because they want to save you. No, because they want to destroy you. Because if you rise, if you thrive, if you walk away from their world and build something better, then what does that say about them? It says they were weak. It says they wasted their lives. It says they spent decades following rules that meant nothing. And they will never, ever forgive you for showing them that. But that's their problem, not yours. Because you have a choice. You can fall back in line, nod your head, play the game, pretend you're happy. You can shrink yourself down, make yourself harmless, let them tell you who you are, what you should be, what you should want, or you can walk away. You can burn their script, tear up their rules, and become something they never wanted you to be. Free. But make no mistake, once you make that choice, once you step off their path, you will never belong to them again. They will never welcome you back, never see you as one of them. You will be an outcast, a ghost, a reminder of everything they fear. And that's the price of freedom. But tell me something. Would you rather be accepted by people who never really cared about you? Would you rather be loved by people who only love the version of you that follows their rules? Or would you rather be unstoppable? Would you rather walk through this world without fear, without chains, without needing a single damn thing from people who wouldn't hesitate to throw you away? Because once you stop playing their game, once you stop chasing their approval, once you stop giving a damn about their opinions, you become something else. Something they can't define, something they can't control, something they can't break. And that is what they truly fear. So let them hate, let them whisper, let them try to bring you down. Because the second you walk away from their game, the second you stop playing by their rules, you win. You think they're ever gonna stop? You think if you ignore them, if you walk away, if you choose your own path, they're just gonna let you be? No, that's not how this works. That's not how they work. Because they can't stand the thought of someone escaping, someone proving that all their little rules, their little labels, their little chains never mattered. See, when you were still playing their game, they could pretend they were winning. They could tell themselves that their way was the only way, that if you just followed the path long enough, you'd find some kind of meaning at the end. But the second you step out, the second you choose something else, that illusion cracks, and they hate you for it. Because now, every time they look at you, they're forced to ask themselves a question they don't want to answer. Could I have done that too? Could I have been free? Could I have walked away? Could I have lived without all these chains, without all this approval, without all this meaningless noise? And when the answer is yes, when they realize that they were always the ones holding themselves back, that they were always the ones choosing the leash. Oh, they will never forgive you for making them see that, so they'll come for you. Maybe not with fists, maybe not with weapons, but with something worse, with words, with whispers, with manipulation so deep it wraps around your mind like a noose, tightening every time you take a step further from their world. They'll call you a failure, a disappointment. They'll say you're wasting your life, that you've changed, that you've become cold, heartless, lost. But what they're really saying is, why won't you come back? Why won't you make me feel comfortable again? Why won't you lie to yourself like the rest of us? Because they need you to fail. They need you to crawl back, broken, defeated, begging for the very system you walked away from. Because if you don't, if you succeed, if you thrive outside their world, then what does that say about them? It says they were wrong. It says their suffering was pointless. It says they were never trapped by the world, only by their own weakness. And that is a truth they will never, ever accept. So they will mock you. They will isolate you. They will talk about you like you're dead, like you're some lost soul who just didn't make it, like you could have been something if only you had followed their path. And when none of that works, when you still keep going, still keep building, still keep moving forward, they will get desperate. Because by then, it won't just be about you. No. By then, you won't just be a problem. You'll be a threat. Because what happens when someone else sees you? What happens when another lost soul, another prisoner of their system, another man drowning in the same lies you once believed, looks at you and realizes there's another way? What happens when they start to question? When they start to wake up? When they start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, they've been lied to too? That's the real danger. Not just that you escaped, but that others might follow. And that is something they cannot allow. Because their entire world, their entire fragile illusion, their entire game, it only works if everyone plays along. It only works if people believe they have no choice. But the second one, man, proves that's a lie. The second one, man, steps out of line and doesn't collapse, doesn't fall, doesn't need them. Everything they built starts to shake. And that's why they'll never stop coming for you. That's why they'll never stop trying to pull you back. Because your existence, your freedom, your refusal to bow, to beg, to fit inside their mold, it's the one thing that can unravel their entire system. So tell me, you still think this is about you? You still think their hatred, their fear, their desperate little attempts to bring you down, it's about your choices, your mistakes, your so-called failures? No, this was never about you. This was never about whether you were right or wrong. This was never about whether you made the right decisions or the wrong ones. This was about control. And you shattered it. You broke the leash. You walked out of their world and never looked back. And now they're terrified. Because you didn't just escape. You proved that the cage was never locked to begin with. And that is something they will never forgive you for. Look back if you want. Look at the faces of the people who once called you a friend, a brother, a son. Look at the ones who swore they cared. Look at the ones who smiled when you followed, who clapped when you obeyed, who loved you as long as you stayed in their world. And then look at them now. Look at the way they talk about you like you're a disease. Look at the way they pretend you don't exist. Look at the way they need you to be wrong. And ask yourself one simple question. Were they ever really on your side? Because if they were, if they truly loved you, if they truly cared, if they truly wanted what was best for you, then tell me this. Why are they so afraid of your freedom? You're done playing their game. You're done chasing their approval. You're done following their rules. And from now on, from this moment forward, they don't get to decide who you are. They don't get to tell you what you're worth. They don't get to pull the strings anymore. Because their games, their tricks, their pathetic little attempts to control you, they don't work if you don't play. And the second you stop playing, the second you step off their board, the second you look them in the eyes and say, "You don't own me," you win. You see, once you leave, there's no going back. Oh, you might think about it. You might have nights where you sit in the dark, wondering if you made a mistake. If maybe, just maybe, life was easier before you knew the truth. Before you saw through their lies. Before you stopped playing along. But you can't unsee it. You can't pretend anymore. You can't squeeze yourself back into a world that was never meant for you. And even if you tried, even if you forced yourself to go back, to act like you used to play their game again, you'd never belong. Because now you know, and knowing, that's the real curse. Because now, every time you hear their words, you'll hear the lies buried underneath. Every time you see their smiles, you'll see the emptiness hiding just behind them. Every time you watch them chase their meaningless little prizes, their fake little victories, their desperate need for approval, you'll know exactly what it all is. A game designed to keep them weak, to keep them afraid, to keep them running in circles, convinced they're getting somewhere when they're really just marching in place. And the worst part, the part that will haunt you the most, is knowing that you could try to wake them up, could try to save them, could try to pull them out of the same prison you escaped from. But they won't listen. They won't want to hear it. Because waking up, that takes strength. That takes pain. That takes losing everything before you can finally see the truth. And most people, they're not ready for that. They never will be. You'll walk alone. Not because you want to, not because you enjoy it, but because there's no other choice. Because once you've tasted real freedom, you can never go back to chains, even if those chains are wrapped in silk, even if those chains feel familiar, even if those chains are held by people you once loved. And maybe, just maybe, there will be others like you, others who saw the truth, who felt the weight of it, who refused to be controlled. And maybe one day you'll find them. Maybe one day you won't be the only one walking this path. But until then, you keep going. You keep moving forward. You keep building something that no one can take from you. Because now, you don't live for them. You don't live for their approval, for their acceptance, for their validation. No, you live for yourself. You build for yourself. You rise for yourself. And when they look at you, when they whisper, when they wonder, when they watch you from a distance, trying to understand how you survived, how you thrived, how you kept going without them, you won't need to say a word, because the truth, the real, undeniable truth, they'll see it for themselves. You won. You won the second you stopped playing, and they'll be stuck in their little game forever.